Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Guys That Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What's going on?
Hello.
What's up, nerds?
We are back with another Commander Grades video. This time, taking a look at the Lost Caverns of Ixalan supplemental set, would you call it? I guess. It's additional cards that are not in the set, but are in the set. It's from Jurassic World. We've got new legendary creatures specifically from that IP, which is Universes Beyond, that's in the set. So let's go ahead and talk about them. We're going to talk about what they could do as a potential helm of a deck and give them a grade at the end and then give it a consensus grade. Before we get started, we just want to say thank you to everyone on the screen right now. They are subscribed to our Patreon. That's right, we have a Patreon. If you wanted to join the list, join the crew, check the description down below. You'll find a link to our Patreon account. You too can be up on the board. But let's go ahead and get started with this first card from Jurassic World. It is Ellie and Alan, Paleontologists. It's 2, a green, a white, and a blue for a 2/5 legendary creature human scientist. Has an ability where you can tap it, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Discover X, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. This is kind of narrow in the fact that you have to have a creature in your graveyard for this to do literally anything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
also have
Hunter-
to tap this, and it's 5 mana.
Yeah.
And activate only as a sorcery. There is every safety on this card you can possibly imagine.
Yeah. What
I
were you
like
gonna say,
Discover
Steven?
as a mechanic, but I don't know about this card.
I was just gonna say I don't see anything good, which is tough.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steven. I see one thing good. Discovering X is great. I think what they're trying to do here is that obviously you're just kind of like playing your deck. So it's almost like you're just playing a deck, and then this lets you exile after your thing died to keep going, I guess. Like, I don't really know. There's not really a theme. Like, what's the theme here that you're just going to be exiling what you already play? I don't know. That's the good side though. The discovered, Steven. That's
I'm
it.
not gonna lie to you, man. You went on that tangent and you started getting me there, and then you just stopped.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's what I do.
You're like this deck does the thing that it wants to do, and then I don't know what you're supposed to do, but I guess it does the thing.
I will at least throw it out there, like you can kind of exploit this in a sense of like you can discover for very low numbers. And if you build your deck specifically with that in mind, like you can target cards in your deck. That way you're forced to discover into them. So like I've only got like 3 1-drops. I know I'm gonna hit one of them.
Hey, Steven, make it a combo deck, baby.
I mean,
No.
that would also assume that you have one of them in the graveyard to begin with for this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm ready to move on to grades.
Yeah, me too.
All right, I think we've all said enough about this card. Let's move on to the grades. David, you seem really high on Ellie and Alan. What are we giving?
I am. This card's an F. I don't actually think this card is playable.
Yeah, it still does a thing, so I'm giving it a D.
See, I like Discover, so I'm gonna give it a D for Discover.
Okay, all right, Shane. It does do a thing, Hunter, and it does discover, so it gets an F.
There you go.
Ellie and Alan, Paleontologist, gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to Henry Wu, InGen Geneticist. It is black, green, and blue for a 1/4 legendary creature human scientist. It says it and other human creatures you control have exploit, which means whenever a creature with exploit enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. And whenever a creature you control exploits a non-human creature, draw a card. If the exploited creature had power 3 or greater, create a treasure token. What do we think about Henry Wu, Steven?
I think that he probably did not offer his likeness for the card art.
Don't think you're wrong there.
Yeah, there's a possibility.
But what about the mechanic?
I mean, I like exploit. This is in a fun color format for exploit. I mean, we're on a better track from Ellie and Alan, but yeah, that's about as much as I can say here.
I think it's trying to be too cute by using the mechanic exploit, as in, oh, we exploited the dinosaurs and look what happened with the Jurassic World stuff. But I don't know if this card's good.
I think I like this card a lot if it didn't do the human to non-human switch between abilities. If it was consistent and didn't care about the creature type, I think that this would have actually been pretty powerful. But because of that, I think it puts it in like a really awkward deck building constraint of like, or just like sequencing of like, okay, first I have to have A and then I can do B. And with all of that payoff, I'm drawing a card and making a treasure. I don't know if that's good enough.
Yeah, I don't really know if I like Henry Wu. And that's
Like
all
I
I got to
said,
say about that.
it's trying to do it flavor-wise for the Jurassic World set, but as a card itself, David, you hit the nail on the head there. It is you got to do like half and half. You want creatures, you don't want humans, and you do want humans, and I don't know, man. I mean, it does it to itself at least, right?
Yeah,
I mean, woo, this is bad.
Henry
I
Wu,
got what
it's
you
bad.
did there, dude.
Let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving Henry Wu?
I mean, I know what you're thinking. I said this is a little better than Ellie and Alan, and I meant what I said, and it's still an F.
Yeah, it's a D for me.
Because of the fact that this is something that like it's not that difficult to make human tokens and it's not that difficult to make non-human tokens and it doesn't care about that, I'm actually going to give this card a C. I think that you can set up your deck even with sequencing to still draw tons of cards and make tons of treasure tokens. So I think that the floor here is a C.
I'm gonna say that it does a thing, and it's a D for me.
Henry Wu, InGen Geneticist, is going to get an average grade of a D. Moving on to Ian Malcolm, Chaotician. It is 1, a blue, and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature human scientist. It says whenever a player draws their second card each turn, that player exiles the top card of their library. During each player's turn, that player may cast a spell from among the cards they don't own exiled with Ian Malcolm, Chaotician, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. Chaotician, chaos. David,
Is that
you
what
like
that means?
chaos, right?
Dude
I
loves
do actually.
chaos.
I like this card a lot because I'm going to play this after somebody else has played a Drannith Magistrate, and then we're just going to lock the game out and that player's won.
That's stupid. That's chaos.
That's chaos.
I mean, it doesn't lock the game out. You still draw a card every turn.
True. Okay. Look, here is the thing. I'm not a big fan of this card. Yes, this card is chaos, but I like chaos that you can exploit. And I feel like if your commander is what is causing all of this, it's not really exploiting. So your other opponents are like they're still playing with decks and you're not.
So
I don't know. It's kind of difficult to explain here, but I just don't think that this is something that you really weaponize. It's just like you play it and it's like an annoying gimmick, and I don't think that this card even survives very long because I don't think your opponents want to go through this like mini game.
I mean, Ian Malcolm, cool guy, super cool guy. This card's very rough.
I think this card's pretty cool. It really like focuses on the player that's doing a bunch of card draw shenanigans, because then everybody else at the table gets to play their deck too.
You know what? Maybe this is what you do. You build is it stacks in a sense because this is just going to prevent your opponents from drawing tons of cards.
I mean, they can still draw tons of cards. It's only the second card they're exiling.
You're right. I take back what I said. I thought I had a glimmer of hope. Steven shredded it.
I think it's super annoying.
Yeah.
I think I would be really upset if someone was playing this against me and I drew my second card and then I flipped over an absolute bomb. And then at that point, whoever's the next player has a big decision to make, either casting that card or casting their own spells.
I mean, this is literally share the spoils on a creature, and it's great, and I love it, and I'm here for it.
Let's move on to the grades. Ian Malcolm from me. I still think Chaos starts with a C, so I think it's going to be a C.
Chaos does start with a C, Hunter. I'm right there with you.
I mean, chaos starts with a C, but what fun would it be being predictable? That's not chaos at all. This is a B.
We are so split on this card. I think that playing this probably just puts a target on your back and doesn't actually make you do anything. I'm going to give this an F.
Before we move on, what I will say is I don't really think that this will put a target on your back. I think people will probably kind of leave this alone. I think this only really gets removed to board wipes. I don't know.
People don't like chaos. As somebody who's played chaos decks, people do not like chaos.
We hate chaos.
You'll be fine.
Ian Malcolm, Chaotician. Gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to Indominus Rex Alpha. It is 1, a blue or black, and 2 green for a 6/6 legendary creature, dinosaur mutant. It says, as Indominus Rex Alpha enters the battlefield, discard any number of creature cards. It enters with a flying counter on it if the card discarded this way has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. It also says, whenever Indominus Rex enters the battlefield, draw a card for each counter on it. This seems like a pretty powerful
Oh,
card. What do you
boy.
think, Shane?
This seems like a great reanimator card. That's the
Keyword
first thing
soup.
I thought. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. Because like, you're gonna make this guy have a ton of counters. Hopefully, yeah, like Steven said, keyword soup, and then all the the downside of this card is you're discarding it. But if you put in some like reanimator package, that's gonna be sick. This card could be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. This card could be awesome. For only 5 mana, you get a 6/6 plus whatever you discard. It is insane.
It does make you have things in your hand, which I hope you do. But there's that. You could just not have things in your hand that you care about. But
And also the flexibility to have either a blue or a black in that moment is really good on casting this too.
true.
I mean, 5 mana for a 6/6 with Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Vigilance, Trample, Menace, Reach, all those other abilities that just drew me a bunch of cards. Sounds pretty solid.
Doesn't it? Just. Yeah.
This is a Voltron commander, though, that I do want to at least say has the caveat that this is only as good as what is in your hand.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
We'll say the cards you're drawing is awesome because then if this card does get dealt with, you just refilled your hand with things to then discard to it the next time you play this card. That's really cool.
There is one thing that I should say would be better if this was on this card, which probably makes it broken. But what about Infect, guys? Why is Infect not here?
Oh no!
What do you
no,
mean?
no,
Just
no.
discard Blightsteel Colossus.
Yeah, it doesn't count though. Doesn't say the same for Infect.
True.
In all fairness, though, is this just like another Sultai commander that's just really kind of built for comboing off, though? So, like, every time it ETBs, it draws you a bunch of new cards, and then you're just going to, like, bounce this thing, discard all of them, draw a bunch of new cards. You're just going to basically feed through your deck at a rapid pace, possibly in one turn, depending on how your deck is constructed. And they just
That'd be
win
awesome.
with, like, Thassa's Oracle.
I
Hell
mean,
yeah, David.
you could put that in the deck, but I mean, I feel like just coming down with Hexproof, Double Strike, and Indestructible seems just really good. Just those 3 keywords, let alone everything else. It's nuts.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying, like, this kind of tempts me to go down the route of just, like, ignore the keywords and go for the line that says you win the game.
Stay strong, brother. Don't get tempted.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't actually know if that's any good with this, but it's in the right color combination. And this is like a backup plan. Might not be bad.
Well, what does the combo player at the table think?
I don't know. I see more Voltron than I do combo, but I mean, obviously, good color scheme for a nice combo deck. But
Yeah, I like Fair Magic too.
Let's move on to the grades. Indominus Rex Alpha, for me, is getting an A just because it's just so crazy.
Don't all jump in at once. Okay. I like him a lot. I don't like him at an A, but I do like him at a B, Hunter.
Yeah, I think this card is really cool. It is very dependent upon what is in your hand, but I do really like the card draw aspect. I think ultimately, though, this is a Voltron commander that is still a little bit on the fragile side. I'm going to give this a C.
yeah, I think I'm just going to put this at a B. I think it's pretty strong. I think that if you don't have Hexproof on this bad boy, it's going to eat removal pretty quick.
True.
Indominus Rex Alpha gets the average grade of a B. Moving on to the Indoraptor, the perfect hybrid. It's 1, a black or green, and a red for a 3/1 legendary creature, a dinosaur mutant. It's got Bloodthirst X, which means this creature enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. It has Menace, and it also has Enrage, which means whenever it is dealt damage, choose an opponent at random. Indoraptor deals damage equal to its power to that player unless they sacrifice a non-token creature. What do we think about this card, Steven?
I think that it's good for Jund until you get to that last sentence. Like that last sentence really just kind of like shits the bed, man.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that last sentence a lot.
How come? Yeah, what? Explain.
Just sacrifice a non-token creature? Cool, man. We'll just sacrifice a non-token creature.
Okay.
You better be
well,
You better be wiping my board every 2 seconds. I mean, how often do it? Like, I like it. It's really good. It's cheap, comes down. And to be honest, you can always hurt your opponents with some big spells. And this will come down pretty hard. Don't get me wrong. I hate that last part. I think it's just kind of crappy.
I think this is a fantastic commander that just sits around until you have a big turn to do a bunch of damage. Then you play it, and this is massive. And then at random, someone's either going to take even more damage, or they sack their potentially best thing, depending on if you got rid of them before you cast this.
I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it out there, guys. This is 3 mana and it's cute and adorable. But realistically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna drop Heartless Hitotsugu before you do this. You're gonna nuke your opponents for 60 life. You're gonna pay 3 mana and drop your 63, 61 Menace Commander. That also has upside.
A great Merry Christmas line, David and I love.
That would
Yep.
be pretty.
I don't actually think that's all that Merry Christmas because there's other cards in these colors that also hit really hard for like life totals. Dire Fleet Ravager, another one that's going to take a third of everybody's life total off. Like, and you don't even necessarily need to make this thing that crazy big. I can see this being a 3 mana 2020 with Menace without really being all that difficult.
I mean,
I
I
think that's
really
fun.
would like to see this built as a Dragon's Approach deck.
I think its mana cost is perfect. It lets you play it the entire time because I'm guessing this commander might die a couple times. What do you guys think? It might die once or twice.
I think so. I think this is a removal eater.
Yeah.
I think it's going to eat a Path or a Swords quite often. But if David was hit with a Swords, you gain quite the amount of life.
There you go.
Like-
And then it becomes a life gain commander.
Like that last dinosaur we just talked about, man, the hybrid pip there is awesome. Makes it just that much easier to cast. Like I definitely like this card. I understand Steven saying that unless you wipe their board, they'll just kind of sacrifice most likely their weakest thing, but they're still sacrificing something. So that's just like icing on the cake.
Also,
mean-
like that's going to happen whenever they block this.
True.
This card is great, except the last piece of text. That's all. That's my only critique.
It's just
Okay.
upside, bro.
Well, let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving the Indoraptor?
You give it a good old C.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I think Indoraptor gets a C from me as well.
I think it's cute and fun, and I want to give it a B.
I think it's cute and fun, and I hate the fact that I'm really tempted to build this.
Hey, man, it's a dinosaur.
I'm gonna give it a C. I like this card a lot, but I do see the potential for some downsides.
Indoraptor, the perfect hybrid, gets the average grade of a C. And moving on to the final card, or should I say cards, because they're partners from the Jurassic World set. This is Owen, Grady, and Blue. The first one we'll talk about is Owen, Grady, Raptor, Trainer. It is a red and a green for a 3/2 legendary creature, human, soldier, scientist. It says partner with Blue Loyal Raptor. Has an ability to tap it, put your choice of a menace, trample, reach, or haste counter on target dinosaur. Activate only as a sorcery. And you also have Blue Loyal Raptor, which is 2 a green and a blue for a 5/4 legendary creature dinosaur that says partner with Owen, Grady, Raptor, Trainer. It says for each kind of counter on Blue Loyal Raptor, each other dinosaur you control enters the battlefield with a counter of that kind on it. David, what do we think of Chris Pratt and his pet?
I see like the cuteness with this card. However, I really feel like you need to be able to have both of these in play in order for this deck to really kick the way that you want it to. Yes, like +1/+1 counters also work with blue, so that's kind of neat. But I don't know. I think that Owen Grady Raptor Trainer is, and I know that this is going to sound a little weird, kind of slow. Like, you want your creatures to have haste, but a haste counter really doesn't do anything past its initial turn. I guess that's cool for any of the other dinosaurs that would be coming into play, but I don't know. I just feel like this is a deck that Owen doesn't. I don't know. There's too many steps involved here.
I think I understand why you are saying it's slow because it does have to come onto the field. It's got to sit around, and then the next turn you're gonna use it as sorcery. But I do like the fact that it's on curve perfectly, right? So you're gonna be curving out him, blue, and then after turn 4, everything you play hopefully starts getting more and more counters on it. So it just kind of seems like this deck wants to be a tempo monster.
I would love this card if they were just combined. Like, put the counters on itself. Have the ability just to tap it and put it on itself. Everything else comes in with a counter. That would make it so much better if it was just Owen, Grady, and blue.
That'd be cool.
I don't know why it has to be separate. It's 7 mana separate, which is not good. And even if I was combined the way I said it, I still don't think it's that good of a card.
I mean, it's not.
Did you want to expand?
I mean, not really.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. I don't even think it's good. I just think cute, and little Timmy might like to play some dinosaurs.
Go get him Chris Pratt on a card, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's move on to the grades. I am giving Owen, Grady, and Blue a D.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a D with you, bud.
I'm also gonna give this a D.
Yeah. Same Z's.
Owen Grady, Raptor trainer with Blue Loyal Raptor, gets the average grade of a D. And that is going to do it for our video today. Hit that like button if you like this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you're not missing out on any other cool content we're doing. Once again on the screen, shout out to all of our Patreon subscribers. You too can be on this list if you check the description down below. Also in the description, you will find links to our Instagram, our TikTok, and our X or Twitter. That's @guys@magic for each one. Comment down below if you agreed with these grades. Maybe we were wrong about a card. Maybe you can open our eyes up to a different lane that we didn't see. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Bye bye.